Welcome everyone. So, bit of a change tonight. Uh, looks like I've been bitten by the vintage bug, right? I will be playing a vintage league tonight. This is the, I guess, descendant of the original vintage, you know, Cradle control deck, right? Short story is Luke, come on. The short story is I'm actually level one. Justin Ganari reached out to me yesterday about working on this deck together. It was actually really good timing because, as it turns out, uh, I feel pretty good about where the legacy version is at the moment, and I was actually gonna reach out to him as well. So good timing. He messaged me yesterday, and he worked on the initial port, and I was out at the time, so I said, "Oh, let me get back to you." And then after dinner, I sent him what I think was the Fiend Artisan template from Legacy and how it could be ported to Vintage. I think a lot of the vintage specific metagame calls, I will defer to Justin on that because he obviously has more intimate knowledge of the format than me. But our initial list, so full disclosure, he's played so far. He played 2 leagues last night, and then 1 league this morning, and a prelim this morning. So I played 1 league last night as well, and I think after the league I played last night, I told him I think we should go back to Force of Vigor because we initially had the natural order package in this slot, and I told him I think we can do without the natural order package, just like our initial iterations back in February, and we cut the spirit guides because I felt that it was a little bit redundant with the fast mana, and I think the legacy version needs additional fast mana, whereas we have plenty of it here. So I felt like we needed to find space for more hate because um, in last night's league, I went with that list 2 and 3. I probably could have played 3 and 2, went 3 and 2 if I played a little bit better, but I felt like we needed more disruption, and that's where the Force of Vigors come in. A lot of the other ports are fairly straight obvious, or fairly obvious. So in the legacy version, we have 22 lands. Here we have essentially 19 plus 3, right? And we cut one arbor because I just didn't feel like we needed the second one because the legacy there's more removal in legacy than there is in vintage, and it's really for natural order. Granted, and especially since today we moved away from natural order, and Justin 5-0'd his league, and then went 3-1 in the vintage prelim. I think the list is pretty good. The other thing I will say is, um, we were able to move Endurance's main, and that's something that Matt Sabo has done. Punishing Waterfalls has done in the Legacy version, which is his version of the list, which is the essentially the non-reliant elves version. I would say here the vintage version is a little bit in between, right? We don't have the Waterwood symbiotes and we don't have the Elvish Visionaries for more elf synergy, but we do keep the 3 copies of Alsor Shepherd because I felt like it was important to have enough 1 drops to pitch to Artisan, and Shepherd actually turns your hate bearers, Reclaimer, and Deathrite into damage in the late game. So I felt like the fact that it did double duty here while or triple duty if you count, pitching to Artisan while also evading Force of Will. I felt like it was worth to include. Also, randomly pumps Leovold and randomly pumps Mass Vandal. Leovold is not in the Legacy version because I didn't feel like we could support the Blue Splash. With Deathrite Shaman here, I felt like that was more viable. And the Blue Splash is very just for, 2 Haymakers and Time Walk and Ancestral Recall, right? That is something that I think is worth it. And Justin was the one that actually brought the idea up first, and I felt like it was very warranted. The Scavenging Ooze was a development this morning only because I didn't have that last night, and I ran into a scenario where our 3/4s were smaller than hollow ones. So that is one reason why I added the Scavenging. Also, instant speed Graveyard Hate. I didn't feel like because there's no Murtai region in Vintage, there's no need to I didn't feel under the pressure to have to nuke their entire yard with endurance every time. So I think the one ooze is like decent. Obviously a flex bot. The sideboard I will say is, I think four leyline is a thing in Vintage, but we discussed it. I told Justin that Collective is very good uh, because it's a creature, right? In the context of our shell, being extra mana for Cradle. The rest of the sideboard Justin came up with, and as he is more familiar with the Vintage metagame than I am, so that's kind of where we are at with the list. And I look forward to working with Justin more in the future with regarding this. Obviously, Justin deserves all the credit. He got the 5-0 this morning, and he also went 3-1 in the prelim, like I said. So, hopefully, if there are no other questions, I will run through a league right now with this list. And obviously, let me I tagged Justin here. What's it called? I tagged Justin in my tweet earlier, but I'll go ahead and like link him here in case anybody is wants to check out his Twitter and follow Justin. He is one of the four on the cutting edge of the Vintage metagame, right? So there's that, and I guess we can start. So, right here, right? We see October 28th this morning. He 5-0 with this list. He posted it on his Twitter as well, so there's that. One thing I think this is the first time I've streamed Vintage, but it's not the first time I've played Vintage. One thing I don't like enjoy about Vintage is the long wait times. It sometimes does take a while to queue into an opponent, so might have to be patient here. Without While we wait, I think we can take a look at the legacy version a little bit, just for comparison. So the mana base is similar. Here's the legacy version. I 5-0 with this in my previous stream a few days ago. I want to say Wednesday. We played only one league, but the difference here is again more of an elf package. Like you have your 3 wirewoods and 2 visionary. The mana base is very similar, but there's no blue splash because we downgrade our Death Right Shamans to just Landlord Elves, right? A little bit harder on the mana. The other difference is without Moxen, we kind of need the speed of Elvish Spirit Guide. And then obviously no Leovold. Obviously this Disruption Suite in the sideboard is a little bit different because of the metagame differences and speeds of Legacy and Vintage. But more or less, I think a lot of it ports over cleanly. It is really I want to say like a Hate Bear / Prison deck with a combo finish. In Legacy, I think in Vintage, your finish is oops, wrong one. So here's the Fiend template, right? Like, probably can ignore this, but this left side here is essentially what you can use and kind of build whatever you want. This is if you want to mess around with the Fiend shell, this is probably where you start. But I think here in Vintage, again, also a prison deck, but the difference being is your kill is Allosaurus Shepherd because there's less removal. In my league yesterday, and I think Justin agreed. Actually, it was. Let me rephrase it. He was the first one that actually suggested cutting Natural Order because I know the original Glimpse version of this deck did not run it. We just ran the Force of Vigor. He mentioned to me he didn't feel like natural order was good enough, and now that I finally got the chance to test it myself, I completely agree. Like it is too slow for any of the combo matchups, unfortunately. Um, and the other thing is in the fair matchups like Bug, you can probably beat them without it. If I'm being honest, like I felt like the Gris and the Leovo do a lot in those matchups, and so do the Endurance, like mid range plan. You have a second Gris that Justin added to the list after his five. I sorry, not the five, but after the prelim. I think the second Gris helps a lot, given that we've cut the natural order package right. All right, well, this is now taking a while. One also notable thing is the ability to play Mox Jet is kind of a huge plus for us because we can use it to cast Death Rot and Fiend Artisan, which I think helps a lot with the speed. We have another fast mana card. The other thing it does is you can actually speed out big Artisan tutoring as well. I may get a question on Archon of Emeria. I think with Deathrite, it's good enough to board in. This is strictly a Justin idea that I can definitely get behind because when he brought this up to me, I was like, oh, what about Thalia or Canonus? And then I played a league, and because he said he didn't like either, it made sense to me immediately why he didn't like it against Canon, why he didn't like Canis because Canonus is not good against the PO decks because they can just like play out all their mana, right? The other thing is Thalia. A lot of times these vintage decks can overpower a Thalia, so definitely on board with the Archon of Marriott. Like I definitely see. Well, I haven't got a chance to cast it yet, but I can see the merits for sure. Um, Jailer obviously for the dredge decks. A lot of this is dredge hate. Like I think one of the strengths of this shell is being strong against probably dredge because not only do we have the Leyline of the Voids, but we also have the 8 hate bears in the main deck between Reclaimer and Deathrite, right? Um, you can for good measure even throw in the endurances and scavengers, but I'm not even counting that because they're either one shot effects or slow, right? Or not slow, but you're down to cards, I guess. Um, the collector oof obviously for the PO decks and potentially overlap against Doomsday. From what I understand, the Doomsday matchup is supposed to be pretty bad because Endurance they can overpower Endurance, unlike in Legacy where they don't have an ancestral recall to draw 3, right? They need to spend 2 mana for Ideas Unbound, for instance. Part of the reason why we have the Leo vote, I think it's probably worth it. I think we can support it here. Between one Trop and then the 4 Death Rights. Uh, Agent, no, to nobody's surprise, very good. Good, perhaps even better because there's a whole bunch of Urza Saga decks and tutoring in Vintage. And then instead of the natural order package, I think we just want more hate and Force of Vigor, which is pretty flexible. I think it can generally hit Moxen, right? Or and then I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory. I think one odd thing is you might see a Tabernacle here. That's for the Dredge matchup, or the Bazaar matchups, I should say. But being able to reclaim it for it is, I think, a good measure, right? To potentially lock them out. There is a chance this wasteland should be a crop rotation, but I think we'll try it. Is I trust Justin's advice. So we're playing essentially his 75. I think something that we can consider in the future is perhaps a second Bayou over the second basic forest, but I haven't run into shops yet, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, fortunately, this league is we're taking a while to queue up here, unfortunately, but Hey y'all, how's it going? It's going good. Unfortunately, our lead queue here is par for the course for vintage. 8 minutes to queue here, and counting. Um, we do have a legacy deck to fire up if this becomes more problematic. We'll give it a little bit longer. We'll see how it goes. The vintage games are pretty quick, but yeah, this is not unusual for vintage, by the way. Those of you who are new, or longtime watchers of my stream, and then, you know, uh, haven't seen much vintage cues. Anybody have any questions while we're waiting, either for vintage or legacy? Um, the blue, like I said, the light blue splash is for just some obscene power level, right? And then the black cards, I think like Agent Gris, like Gris is kind of like one of the main reasons to play Artisan, and to my surprise, actually, I thought Gris would be too slow for Legacy and I'm sorry for Vintage, and Justin played 2 leagues before I played the one last night because I think he's on East Coast time, but he assured me that Gris was very good, so I was happy to keep the Gris in the deck. Okay, there we go. Thank you for the follow. Hips Wagster. I couldn't read out the finishing, the remaining part. All right. They're on the play. I think this is like decent. Thank you for the subscription, Inigo. I'm surprised you're still up. We have ramp. FJ Rodman. Hopefully we draw into lands here. We have 2 turns to draw into lands, so I like our percentages. Thank you for the follow, Justin. You would have shipped that back? Okay, it's possible. I usually keep these kind of hands in Legacy, but I understand. Ooh, that is a problem. Vintage is a completely different animal, too. I usually assume that I can hit the land drop because there's 2 turns, but also the land count is a little bit lower because we have Moxen. And you would have to lead their idea because of fluster. So again, I think that is like my inexperience or lack of familiar with vintage, right? Like I'm like usually I don't play death right because I'm thinking, oh, maybe they don't fetch or something else. Oh my god. But yeah, I now I know to what does it call it? Now go no, it's better in vintage to play around the fluster, because there's less removal, right? Like they're less likely to hit the shaman. I think here we're gonna go death right. Well, we can go death right into reclaimer, but I'm not sure the sequencing matters. Obviously, in legacy you play around days, but here I'm not sure it matters. That makes sense, Justin, because of mental misstep and things like that too. But yeah, that definitely makes sense. Looks like they're a saga deck. Soaring, alright. Urza, alright. I think our line here is to slam Leo. But I don't know actually how many draw steps. Sorry, not draw steps. I don't know how many counter spells they actually run. We could just tutor for the collector oof here. Maybe that's the play. Let me think. I feel like we just slam Leo here, right? Like, This one's pretty close. Yeah, I'm thinking about Oof or Leo. Feels like Leo might be correct. In case they have draw spells. I think up is your best, but you don't need it till next turn. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. One thing about leaving agent up though is you get a end step activate reclaimer too. So that is one nice thing about that line. But again, we don't need it till next turn for Saga, right? Obviously here, Justin is the much better pilot than I am. So um, if Justin says something, it's probably correct, and my line is probably the wrong one, especially due to the mo- mostly due to the lack of intimate knowledge of the metagame for vintage, right? It's gonna be too hard to push through three constructs though, so it's rough both ways. That makes sense. So yeah, they're on the aggro plan, and we don't. It's not like we have the natural order bails out too, but I think really we might have just lost because of the recall, right? Probably need a force of vigor. That's a good point. Yeah. So we're gonna get beat down by artifacts. I guess we can agent right now. That's like pretty good. Yeah, I think so too. So I would just pass. In the draw step. Interesting. Oh, that's fair. I guess we just take the Lotus, right? Like, unless there's something else we want here. If they have more Saga in hand, maybe Needle. Unfortunately, we that's one bug that we don't know of right now. We don't know their hand. I probably should have taken a look at their list more carefully. Well, I had a chance. Were they breach? That is a good question. I did not look super carefully. Makes sense, Justin. So Justin's referring to if they're on breach, they can reuse their Black Lotus, right? That we pop. All right, I guess we cast this now. It's gonna be really tough, I think, to beat these 5/5s. This is kind of the spot where I want Rex Sage for sure. Justin, our mass vandals in the sideboard, so we can't deal with these constructs that are just like overpowering us here. I think we can play this now. We don't have anything big, unfortunately, to tutor into, and we can't like shrink this. I guess we can try to grit and maybe try to stabilize, but that's I think asking a lot. There's no liberator in the deck. Not main deck, no. Ooh, they have their own agent. Uh, I think we don't win without a Cradle, so I'm gonna try to just do it now. Actually, just dead potentially. I had one in one of my versions. Yeah, I can see playing maybe one main deck just to tutor for. Wouldn't have helped here because they had the agent, but yeah. So here I'm just trying to uptick Gris. Unfortunately, I should have been what is it called? Should have paid attention more. I think if they were on breach or whatnot, but I'm not sure that affects how we board too much. I think we're just dead here. All right, that's game. I guess what we can figure out is we maybe they play something that tells us what they're on that because I wasn't paying attention earlier. So it's either PO or breach, right? Like I guess in the interest of the chat, it's Grixis Tinker without breach. Sure, I guess with Justin we can just concede now that we have that knowledge. And then we'll try to like atone for this loss here, right? I think we want the force of vigors. Difference would be how much endurance we keep. Yeah, I can see that for sure because it's a threat. Leyline's kind of iffy, I think. I didn't like the Archon. I think Wasteland is good here. I think Bog is probably fine. Um, yeah, no Leyline. Agreed. I think if they are on like this combo-y kind of deck, I don't know if we want Gris. I feel like Gris. I feel like kind of slow in this matchup. Um, how much room do we have here? Collector Oof probably seems okay, right? Like, actually, we want the Vandal, and then Reclaimer. I don't think we want Reclaimer in this matchup. Yeah, Ooze is good. And maybe go down on endurances. Like there's two endurances here. That's how we map. I think one Gris. Actually, no, I don't think we want Gris. I think this is probably okay. Down endurance is I like one endurance. Okay, so one endurance, one Gris. So I would defer to the master here, Justin, and trust his metagame knowledge. Thank you for the follow, Natty 1990. Cannot keep this. No lands. This is like, oof, Jesus. Thank you for the raid, Matt. Punishing waterfalls in the house. It is high value to have a target. Yep, that's fair. Justin's definitely right on that. I think if we, why do you play Bog without Reclaimer? Great question. I should probably have boarded out Bog. That is a good catch. So I think here, am I? Hey Matt, we're playing some vintage here. I don't know if this is like a keep. I feel like we mull this. All right, this is better. I feel like Shepard is back and huh. Like we can go turn one collector Oof. Definitely putting this back. It's just like, what do I want here? Probably the land. The death right doesn't do anything. Yeah, the death right doesn't do anything if I put the land back. I'd keep Shep. Interesting. So you can keep Shep, and then if that's the case, do that then. Actually, then this. And then we can sandbag that, I guess. Maybe there's a reason to it or not, but we can sandbag that. I don't know if they play waste or whatnot. That again is not my lack of intimate knowledge of the format, right? You looked at their library. I did, except I didn't, right? I think we ramp here. The question is to what for what? I think a death right makes a lot of sense here. Seems like a removal spell potentially. Nope. Ooh, all right. That's kind of annoying. I don't think Tinker plays Wasteland. Yeah. So I am again full disclosure, not intimately familiar with the list of vintage. Alright, so they are like going after our mana here, which is interesting. Our Foth is uncounterable. That's correct. They have an Alpine Moon on the Cradle, Justin. Would you blow up the Foth here just for that? Actually, maybe we were supposed to hit on upkeep, so we couldn't get tinkered. That's probably fair. Interesting line here. Like, we pitch. The problem is we pitch, and then what does the Death Right do? Right, it doesn't do anything. Do you value Foth? We can't because the Alpine Moon is. You can wait. Do you value Fiend? Uh, Probably not in this case. But then we're not using it for anything anyways. But the problem is we lose the top deck, right? Um, I, th- I guess we can do. I want to leave up the Foth in case they do something we're scared of. I don't know if we're scared of that board at the moment. I don't know if they have flash creatures too. That's a little bit scary. Yeah, I feel like we have to attack, unfortunately. And I feel like we leave a Foth here. Sure. Sure. All right, so they just played out their whole hand for some reason here. They can spin the wheel for a saga. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, perhaps I should have done it with the Lotus on the stack. So there's that. Kill Construct and Moon? I think so, yeah. Okay. Wait, you can't arbor thing. I'm still one short, Justin. If you're talking about for the activate Shepherd, I was one short. Yeah, we can do it now. The, because the arbor doesn't tap for mana immediately. Deathright was shut off by the needle. But otherwise, you could have, yeah. Tabernacle, Jesus. That's really obnoxious. Sure. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what. Maybe they misclicked. They should hit collector. Uh, the tabernacle means the extra creature doesn't matter, so I'll just get the Bayou. Yeah. I think we lost here because of the Urza. Top. Yeah, the moon is probably because they think we're on Guy's Cradle, but um, that would be the only thing. I've had people bring in Alpine Moon against me in Legacy just to deal with Cradle. It is our best card for what it's worth. Misstep. All right, that doesn't do anything luckily here. All right, good night, Matt. Thanks for hopping by. Oh, we're so close. These are the situations where natural order bails you out, but I think it's correct not to play natural order because it's a little too slow, right? Oh God. What is our opponent getting? Yeah, the Urza was just awful. Like we had the game. We had lethal the following turn if they didn't hit the Tabernacle. But now, oh my god. Well, that's probably game. Something I was gonna ask Justin was his thoughts on maybe playing a vampiric. Because it can still find recall or green sun or something, right? But probably not worth it. Yeah, that might be true, Justin. There's the Tinker. It's probably Sphinx, I would imagine. Could be Citadel. Although they're pretty low on life for Citadel. Alright, there's the Sphinx. I think we're just dead now. I don't think we can beat a Sphinx. Unfortunately. We can't kill the Sphinx. And then they're gonna gain just Boseiju. Yeah, I guess there is Boseiju. So I guess we're not, just stone cold dead. There is an out, but we have to kind of draw it right now. Nope. We could have done with that earlier. It's gonna be real problematic now. Cause they're gonna have constructs as well. You can scoop. All right, I will take Justin's word. There you go. No need to drag this out. So, for those just tuning in, I'm playing the exact list that was recommended by Justin after his 5-0 and his prelim earlier today. So the changes that he made were to add the fourth collector oof and the second grist, which I think looks solid to me. Originally, the two crop rotations, he played in that slot this morning, but and I think his 5-0 was with the two crop rotations. So that's probably gonna be on the lookout whenever the vintage 5-0 dumps come out. I think that's either tomorrow or Sunday. Thanks for pointing that out, Justin. I forgot to mention. He did mention to me earlier today when we were just chatting it up on Discord that he forgot to take the progenitus out after we removed the natural order package. We've all been there, in one form or another. So probably will confuse people who are looking at the list for the first time. It's like, oh, is this like anti-mill tech or something like that? But yes, there is a progenitus because originally both of us had the natural order last night in our as part of the package, and we had the progenitus in the sideboard. But we did remove it because uh, both of us felt that we get more equity with the Force of Vigor main deck, and I don't believe you can really cut any of these other cards that on the 1 and 2 drop scale. Um, because these are hate bears, and I think the Shepherd helps you get to the critical mass of 1 drops for Artisan, while being a late game win condition for Reclaimer and Shaman. Obviously, you can build it differently if you don't play Artisan, but I think with Artisan you can't really cut any of these lower drops. I do like that, Justin. What I was gonna recommend actually, and or ask you was, perhaps we can play the either the Vandal or the Endurance, the fourth Endurance main, just because they're a creature and we get rewarded because of Guy's Cradle. Um, in a pinch, Endurance can be a Lotus Petal. Obviously, not the best use of it, but that can come up. So I can definitely see another creature over the Force of Vigor um, going forward. And again, if you are looking to pick up this deck, I would definitely defer to Justin's opinion before mine, and then I think it's pretty nice because I was gonna tweet this out earlier that what happens when you get two Magic Online Series champion competitors to work on a deck together. You get this right. I guess a question of is Vandal better than Libra? I think it could be nice to have both. The nice thing about cutting the natural order package is that we do have the slots now. Like originally, these Force of Vigor were in the sideboard, so I can see both being reasonable. Um, I haven't played with Liberator too much, so I don't know how easy it is to flip. Instant speed definitely helps. Vandal, I think, works really nicely with Artisan in my experience. Although we are a little bit weaker to Graveyard Hate. It's not really about flipping. Okay, so it's about the instant speed, I'm assuming, Justin. My experience with Liberator in the past is you can pre-play. Yeah, for sure. I know all about that. Like for a while, I actually suggested what is it called? Uh, Liberator over Rex Sage, right? Like in Elves, and people were like, "Oh, but you can't balance it with Symbiote." I'm like, "Well, I don't really need it to, right? It's a one-shot effect most of the time where you need it." A body for Cradle, yeah, for sure. So the body for Cradle is huge, and that's why the Legacy version, like anything that is Luke, come on, anything that is a creature, you get heavily rewarded. Because of not only Cradle, but obviously Once Upon a Time and Natural Order as well. Also I forgot to plug. Justin recorded his 3-1 prelim from earlier today, so be on the lookout for that coming out potentially Monday on video on demand, right, on his VOD. So you'll see definitely higher skill level play than me on YouTube. Okay, there you go. So Justin can feel free to put his YouTube page here in the link, and then if you want to see higher level play in Vintage, definitely check that out. I was just but a mere hired assassin, right, to give my insight on the Cradle control shell for Justin. But Justin put in the legwork, obviously, to define the sideboard bullets, so to speak, right? Like the Archon, I probably wouldn't even, at least not initially. I would not think to play this because the first thing I would think of is either Thalia or Canoness, and obviously Canoness has a drawback that um, they can play the Moxen for out of PO or one of the combo decks through it, right? So that is one of the downfalls of Canoness. And then Thalia, I would imagine they can overpower it sometimes um, because of the Moxen. So um, Archon definitely makes a lot of sense, and not something that I would initially think of. Obviously, granted, two minds working on this deck together is better than one, right? And I think it also is nice to have confirmation, I guess, because for instance, Jailer was an idea that I was gonna recommend to Justin, and he independently just brought it to my attention this morning. So I'm glad we both came to the same conclusion independently with Yixlet Jailer, right? Um, some other things is, yeah, I can see playing the Liberator. We definitely have the sideboard space for it, depending on what we cut. Um, Leo, I think, is kind of a necessary evil because with the natural order package cut, I think I want Liberator main though. I would agree with that, Justin, only because it's proactive and historically speaking, these green tap out decks don't really like leaving mana up or like having reactive cards. So, for instance, permission tends to not really be good in these kind of shows, um, because you want to maximize your mana every turn because Cradle is a very exponential effect. So I definitely agree with Justin that the Liberator main sounds good. Also, Vandal is just a low power level in terms of like it being a main deck. Like you don't want to draw it and just it kind of be whatever's. Um, there in the Legacy version, you have one. You have access to the Wirewood to bounce it. I'm not sure how relevant that is in Vintage. I suspect probably not super relevant, but that could be an option to explore going forward because Fiend Artisan can find both, right? Like, and then you can just tap untap for untapping Arbor or Deathrite for mana, and then replay your Mass Vandal to exile. One notable downside is it is a little bit weak to graveyard hate. So if your opponent has Deathrite Shaman, or like just a random Leyline Void that they decided was better than XY card in their deck, that is something to be aware of. Yeah, that's the other thing that can happen. I think Legacy has more removal um, than Vintage, so there are times that we don't have anything in the graveyard. That is something that has happened in Legacy as well. I don't play the Vandal in the Legacy version. I have from time to time, like had the sideboard. But I also think it's a different animal, right? Like Legacy is definitely more removal, more creatures, so there's more things that there's more combat, so things can end up in the yard. Whereas in the Vintage version, or the metagame, there's just like less removal going around, so you're less likely to have creatures in the yard. One way you can get that is obviously evoking endurance, but I'm not sure we want to do that. Like, I think also it's the time, Justin, because it wasn't as bad last night. Like it was only till like when I got closer to midnight here that like the queue times were really long. But yeah, this 9 minute wait is kind of brutal. Could be Friday night too. Yeah, so pretty funny comment here by Death Not Oz, right? Like combat math. Obviously, I think at least initially you play this version, you may steal some games because people just don't realize Al Short Shepherd can pump mid combat, right? All right, thankfully we have a match here. Uh, Viz for vintage. Okay, so we have a vintage aficionado here. Ooh, close but no cigar. I think we have some more, right? Like we have two cradles, and the only way we're making mana is with an endurance. Is this like? Would you keep this, Justin? It feels we don't have a proactive play here for a while. Like I feel like we go to five. Yeah, like this doesn't seem great to me. There's no one turn one play. This seems a lot better. Keep, and I think we can probably toss back the Leo and the Ooze potentially. The logic being Fiend Artisan can find either, right? If need be. Another thing I wanted to ask Justin is like, do we need the second basic? I wonder if that should just be another Bayou. So Justin answered yes, but I'm not sure to what question or comment. Oh, I'm assuming that's two basics is needed. Okay, so that's fair. Probably because of situations like this, like strip mine, right? Um, I think we just passed now. We unfortunately moved to five. Top sure. My guess here, my dog is losing mine. Listening to your dog. I feel like we just slammed the artisan here. Uh, I think I'm gonna get an arbor and slam the artisan because I want to get the collector oof. I don't think I want to like go down. Yeah, I was afraid for a second that they had So the reason why I fetched the Arbor there is because I'm thinking 2 turns ahead, and this applies to not only this version but probably even more so in Legacy, where you want to plan ahead, right? Like where in Legacy you have natural order, so the number of creatures, the math matters. In Vintage, obviously this also matters, but something's happening. Might be drawing force, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's okay with us. It's cool how easy this deck hardcasts Vigor. Definitely one of the appeals of the deck, I think for sure. Obviously, the Force of Vigor being a huge metagame call in terms of Vintage, hitting Moxen and things like top and whatnot. Obviously, also Oath, Breach. There's a whole bunch of things, right? We are getting to the area where now we can cast Saga as well, right? We can hard cast the Force of Vigor. All right, so that is pretty neat. I think we'll go ahead and play that out, and then we can spin top next turn, or lock out their top and their Mox Pearl is what I mean. All right, so they are interesting sequence. I guess they want to ensure a land drop, perhaps. That's the only thing I can think of why they would do it. Okay, so Vamp. Sure. What is going on? It might be a Tinker. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it. Gataxian Probe, sure. Yeah, it is a Tinker. Hopefully they just hit lands, right? They get stuck. Oh my god, that's not good. It happens. I'm just more just happy to play this deck in fairly low stakes environment. Obviously, we have people interested in this deck, so I want to do well. But it's nice to just try Vintage again after a almost 9 months or whatever it is break. Yeah, I think Justin's probably right. We did unfortunately have some pretty sloppy hands. There is merit. Okay, I think that's probably gamer. If Justin says the word or somebody else, we'll just concede. I feel like it's probably deterministic now with the brain freeze here, right? Like, don't let them see the deck. So Justin is referring to, don't let them see our deck, right, with brain freeze. We can take a quick look at theirs, but I mean we have Justin around here anyway, so I think we can just safely concede. All right, so we can go ahead and board in the Collector Ooze. The Mass Vandal here seems good. I think Liberator definitely in this kind of spot we can just like preemptively play around, Tinker for Citadel, right? It's like pretty neat. I think the Wasteland here is good. I think we can board out the Gris. I think we can board out the Reclaimers and the Endurances. Well, actually, uh, I don't think we want ley lines. Leave some endurance. Okay, so there you go. Archon I think is good. What do we want to board out here? I think you don't want Leyline though. Yeah, that makes sense, especially since we have too many cards at the moment. What's the interaction between Jailer and Breach? I don't think it. Ooh, that's a good question. Natty 1990 timestamp. Yep, that makes sense. So I wonder what do we board out here, right? Like I feel like we have too many things, so probably not endurance. What do you think, Justin? I will defer to you again. It feels like we have too many cards, and I think we want Reclaimer personally. Two Reclaimer and Bog. Interesting. That might be because. Okay, so I think Justin is saying that by going down to one Reclaimer, I think Justin is saying that this is gonna be all about speed, and we can't really just afford to leave Reclaimer up, which I think makes sense because especially we tap out for Oof, so that also makes a lot of sense. And I think we can just submit. Mm, we have turn three Oof, can lean on our other pieces to beat breach combo. That's fair. Would you keep this hand, Justin? Like you have a turn three Oof, but maybe that's too slow, right? I guess the once upon a time you can. There's a good chance we can find Oof too. So let's try it. Yeah. So I think what we're gonna do here is, um, we're gonna fetch to thin, and because in case it helps for the death right as well, we'll get the trop. It is a turn three collector Oof. And maybe we just see one here. We get a shepherd and a reclaimer. I think the way we're playing this out, we take the shepherd and just protect our line, right? Like especially since we've already conceded that we're not on the bog plan. So the good thing here is we're on pace to have the turn three collector oof through permission. Where we oh my god, that's kind of annoying. Hands seem pretty good as long as we don't get turn one Tinker. Yeah, I mean that's fair, but the Tabernacle is definitely annoying. The good thing is we do have Cradle. So we're gonna bash and then play the Cradle, play the Death Right, and then go, yeah. I'm also understanding now why Justin just wants more Wasteland. So that's something he brought to my attention because he mentioned I asked, well, do we need Wasteland if we already have Strip Mine? And this is referencing for the Bazaar matchup, and he said, well, if it were up to me, I would play four. What's it called? Four copies of Wasteland, right? Deathrite Shaman, sure. That's kind of good because they should be naming Fiend, I feel, but it's neither here nor there, right? I do think maybe we want to crop though for situations like this where we just like potentially just alpha strike them, but we're still kind of far away from that. Draw oof would be so good. Agreed. Agreed. Fortunately, I don't think it's gonna happen. I was thinking about is four artisan too much for the vintage version, but in the worst case scenario, if you draw two, you can just pitch the other, I guess. Alright, that's decent. I think we bash here and then probably just play the artisan. Actually, I'm doing this kind of very primitively. Also, without natural order, Tabernacle is a lot harder to play around. I think if we untap, we are very favored. I think so too, Justin. So quick thing, Justin. Here, would you get Oof or would you get Agent? Ooh, that is quite good. We're gonna pitch the Shaman because of the needle. Yeah, I know. We can actually do both. I realize because we can pitch the Shaman right now, and then that leaves a. We can pitch the Shaman right now. Get the Collector. Cradle gets Oof, and then Vandal. Yeah, so I think I like that. So here's the line I had in mind, right? I'm gonna. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna do. I was gonna shut off their mana, and then blow up Guy's Cradle. I mean, blow up Saga. All right, so they just concede to that. Like, that's fair. So Justin's right. Like, we could have saved the Vandal. The thing dies, and I don't know what they get that's relevant. I don't know what other one drop makes constructs, didn't it? No, not with the collective off. Right, it shut off the mana. So that is a good point by Justin. We could just let it die. I have been burned though, full disclosure, in the past by just letting it die because they just get something tutored that I didn't expect. No, because turn off Monk. Depends if they have Bolt or not. Yeah. I think I do like how we boarded here. The Reclaimer, obviously, we need some number of one drops, right? They could have second Needle, I guess. Fair. I think this is a slam dunk keep. Yes, so there is the toolbox aspect too, right? Sometimes you need to backdoor your way into a cradle. Time Twister. Do we do anything? Probably not. Not, I would imagine. The reason not to do anything there is because of the Once Upon a Time in case we draw it. Maybe they're interesting. Mox, maybe? Some people like to force this because they're afraid of me getting Shepherd. I think we just get another oof. I I mean, I don't know if they force this or not. We'll see. Oh, that's actually kind of annoying now. Yeah, now we got a little bit punished here for not taking the force. I didn't think they would force, but maybe they feel like they're under pressure. Never punished. Never punished. Yeah, easy for sure. I feel like I'm playing with a cheat code here, right? With Justin by our side. Do we attack here? One, two. Yeah, Cradle attack because it can blow out their agent, right? And then I think we just pass and leave agent up. Hmm. Question. I think we have to attack. Like we have to pressure, and then we'll see what they do. Too many cradles. Oops, all cradles, right? Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with Justin that we want the Liberator here, right? Just in case. I think also we can go ahead and just play the second oof. And represent black mana up. They're gonna PO? Probably not. I don't think so. We saw breach, so and they can't because the fetch land's kind of funny actually right now. Okay. I haven't been in this situation before. What do we get here? So we're gonna DT. I just don't know. I haven't figured out DT for Trop. We can't, right? Because we need another black source. We can't Archon either. What are we DTing for? We could DT for Artisan and cast that. Um, I don't know what does the third collector oof do here? Probably nothing. Maybe strip mine is like decent too here. Yeah, I actually like interaction here. So strip mine might be pretty good here. Yeah, I think I would go do that. Academy, I think. But it's possible I should hit, one of the colored sources. Desperation brain freeze, that's what I call that. Alright, we got one. Four oof, definitely OP for sure. I do like that a lot. All right, we're on the board with 1-1. Here's the list again. This is Justin's list. I'm just the pilot, the inept pilot for tonight. Uh, I think we'll go ahead and I'm gonna take a quick restroom break. I'll be right back in a minute. But I feel good about this list. I think our changes include so far the Liberator main deck. Oh, yeah. So Justin said the same thing. I was thinking I should have actually let it queue because vintage queues, do take a while. So yeah, misplay on my behalf. I should have started the queue because there's a good chance it's still running by the time I get back. Um, Especially this time of night where I think I've heard it's harder to find what's it called opponents. Yeah, so quick clarification on Justin in terms of when his video will be up. I talked to him earlier and he said it will be up Monday, which is the 3-1 prelim he played this morning. And that was following a 5-0. And I do think for what it's worth, the nice thing is I also think this list is like not fully tuned yet. So there's a chance Justin, myself, or whoever picks up this deck can probably iterate a little bit more because again, we're in uncharted waters here because not only is this deck new in vintage, it's like still relatively new in legacy, right? Like the core of it is obviously it's a Cradle deck. I think I want to specify that up front because uh, obviously the history of this deck is from elves, but I don't like to say elves too much because sometimes what ends up happening is people think how you win is through the elf creatures. That's not really what happens. How you win is through Cradle. Like it is the best card in the deck, and the green cards that we play are creatures that help facilitate Cradle, namely consistency, right? Like Fiend Artisan increases consistency, Reclaimer increases consistency, Once Upon a Time increases consistency. Like people talk about how Shops is so broken because of Mishra's Workshop, and we kind of have our own, although more built around, right? Like seems pretty good. Recall. So I know a lot of these blue decks will like go turn one recall. I feel like in our deck we kind of go turn one shaman, but that is me. And then we recall when we need to gas up, right? It's very much a play to the board deck, even in vintage, I think, which could be an advantage because a lot of vintage players are not used to playing against creature decks. I guess the humans list is something I saw, or like the mono white list I've seen in the past, but some of these Thalia decks essentially. Yeah, there's not even that. It's not even that. The overdraw. We could just do it on their turn, right? Where we recall on their turn. It's more so. I think you want to establish a board presence. So I think we're gonna go turn one shaman, um, probably off in case they like force it or some reason, off a bayou. So we have access to DT as well, right? Okay, there's the misstep. That's another reason to lead with shaman in case they had mental misstep. Then we're gonna go turn two, recall, and then, oh, that's not good. We could strip into recall, yeah. Yeah, I think we want to try the mana denial here on them. Okay, so I misread your thing, Death Not Oz. Fortunately, that has screwed up my play now, right? Like I thought. Yeah, I don't like rushing ancestral either. It's essentially a free glimpse of that's off color, right? So I think here now we recall. Oh my god. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, we were doomed regardless. They had the Lotus up. That is pretty painful. Yeah, I think I'm gonna vigor here. Just like to destroy their saga. Pain, 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 pain. Oh, Dak Faden. Luckily, it doesn't really do anything against us. Actually, I take that back. I forgot about the Hull Breacher. Ugh. Well, I guess we lost. We could have technically played around this, right? Oh, I see what you're saying. On the Lotus? No, we didn't. We didn't draw the grist till now. I think, unless we pitched the. Yeah, I guess we could have done that. We could have pitched a death ride. I guess might have been worth it. I would have to watch the replay. I don't remember how it played out. Let's see. Misty Death Rite. Okay, we cast a Death Rite. They mental misstepped it. and then they played Lotus, and then we played Strip Mine Pass. Yeah, we didn't have it yet. I don't think. Guess we'll play this. I I think we just drew the grist. I think, but I could be wrong. Like the Death Right, we played turn one on the play. We cast it and got Breacher, and then we Vigored all the same turn plus upkeep. We Vigored on the upkeep because we drew the grist, I believe, but I could be wrong. I think you are right, Justin. That we did vigor and we could breach it and then we vigored on upkeep. But I think we did draw the grist that turn. But I again, I could be wrong. Oh! I see what he's saying. Sure. Are we playing around? I guess we could. I guess it was a little bit telegraphed. We were trying to draw gas, but then yeah, that I mean it makes sense. I was looking for something to cast that turn. Yeah, I feel you now, Justin. You're right. I was thinking about. I didn't realize that was what you meant by playing around it and doing an upkeep, but that makes sense. Um, I feel like we bash here. Right? I don't know for sure if it's right. Yeah, I feel like we're trying to like maybe the argument is it was a little bit telegraphed. Well, it's not free because what ends up happening is we can't cast the one drop. Is the only thing. But it was kind of telegraphed, right? Why would they play the Lotus otherwise? It could be opposition agent. That's the other card, maybe. I don't know, like what these lists play, but I'm not even sure we're supposed to be attacking the deck, to be honest. But that's a different story. Probably true because I think we need to take the Hellbreacher off the board. Oh, that's game, I think. Do we scoop here? I think we do. This is also another reason to not strip C. You save it for Saga. That's fair. That is fair. Uh, a tunnel vision into a line posted on chat, and unfortunately I think that was referencing something else earlier. All right, let's bring in the collector oof, the vandal. I don't think we will want the endurance. I think we want the wasteland. I think we want. Do we want the Archon against them? I feel like we probably do. So this is what we had last time. Like, did we see any kind of graveyard use? I feel like we did not, right? So maybe we just don't leave in. Keep one endurance. That's fair for the utility. And then we can backdoor our way into a cradle. So I think I do like that idea that I think I do like that idea that we can just backdoor our way into cradle at any time with one that we, I think we this is not great because we don't have a one drop. Thank you for the follow rainy day tomorrow. Uh I feel like we keep because of the vigor, but it's awkward not to have a one drop. But we'll see for science. One thing about elves that I will do in the past and legacy is I will keep very medium hands. Maybe that's not allowed in vintage. But I guess we'll find out, right? The reason being is because in elves, you need a critical mass. This is less of that because you don't have natural order. Versus opposite deck, I like keeping our hand because it's like keeping a foul hand for sure. All right. I think we just cracked this now, right? A question is, what do we hit? Probably the ooze. You'd wait for their upkeep. Interesting. That's fair. Yeah, waiting is free. That is correct. I think I will do this first. Okay. Do I think I want shaman here, and I pitch the ooze perhaps. Interesting. All right. That is a big win for sure. All right, we're gonna do an upkeep now. Pitching ooze. Okay, so they have two sagas. So that's part of why we kept the Vandal, right? Then pitching the shaman, ironically enough. Um, yeah, I think so too. Uh, I think we hit the saga here, right? We just like we don't want them to just make two constructs. Yeah, I think we just hit the saga here. Like, hey Ramar, how's it going? How many forces can they have? They should make a construct probably in response. I'd imagine that's what they're doing right now. All right, we'll pass. Nice. Ugh. Awkward. Actually, let's do it this way. I'm gonna scare them. Oh, the Leovold could have been helpful though. Winnable for sure. I feel like this card a little bit awkward right now, but maybe that's sometimes it's like drawing a progenitors, right? Uh, I think I just block. It's fine. Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to do that, but yeah, we'll take it. We'll plus again. Ooh, all the good creatures getting milled. Sure. I guess technically they could have Hull Breacher. How do we make my mana? DRS. Hey, Mats, how's it going? This is your type of deck, Mats. Huh. Very good draw. Mm, I think that's good enough. You have too many blue cards. We only have three in the deck, Mats. And two of them are kind of a must, right? Like Recall and Time Walk. Alright. Nice. Are sweepers much of a thing to worry about? I've seen Toxic Deluge. What else have I seen? I got by a balance like the last night. I don't know why people are playing balance, but somebody got me with it. Uh, it's really two, I think, right? Because you're just tutoring this out most of the time. So it's really walk and recall. I guess four if you want to be technical, right? You just don't worry. There's that too. So I think I like how that played out. The Gris, ironically enough, getting there in the fair way, so to speak. For those of you who haven't tried it, I definitely recommend trying Gris and Artisan. That is a combo. Oof. You're telling me I can slam dongers without worrying about sweepers? Amazing. I have. Unfortunately, I want to be able to beat combo still, mass. That's the only thing keeping me from playing the second Chris right now because I want to make sure I don't lose a combo. This is like a little bit dangerous. All right, there you go. Lotus Sphere Oof Shaman. There you go. That's the master himself has said it. That's fair, Justin. So do I. But again, my knowledge is like limited with this deck. So nice. I know, right? It's looking really good now. It's looking real good. It's looking real good right now. Sure. Maybe they'll name strip mine. Who knows? Draw that cradle, baby. Yep, for sure. So they do name the strip mine because they don't want to hit potentially their color sources or their saga. All right. Let's see. So I think the line here is to play the artisan. Actually, I just realized I have to eat their thing if I want to play an artisan. I could go for the backup oof. I kind of want to get Agent or Leo, right? Like really start to shut off their outs. Okay, that is kind of scary. Mm-hmm. That is a problem. I can't because of the needle. Question is, what do we do now? Like we lose. They pump Artisan, so we're just gonna let everything die. Is that accurate? Like we get one more activation at Death Right, and then it becomes kind of bad, right? Not the oof, and then I guess not the Artisan. So, yeah, I guess that's fair. Definitely keep Artisan and oof. Lose Shepherd and then lose Death Right next turn. Oops, wrong one. I have all the vintage masters are here to help me. I'm super blessed. I think we save this for a turn. Do we have Reclaimer in our deck? We do. Unfortunately, not anytime soon. Nope. Well, better lucky than good. All right. All right. We can tutor for a 2 here. The qu- the question here though is just play oof in my opinion. All right. We'll go with Justin's advice just to play oof. And be safe. We're one short off the agent, so yes, I agree with being safe. Hull breacher. All right, got pitch. Sure. Probably should have done that pre-board so that sorry pre it's like be pre-attack so we get the extra damage. Playing a little sloppy there. Saga. Okay. Oh, that's a good point by said. Hello. Hello. Ugh. All right. Have you been training for a marathon? Yeah, I was thinking right now too, right? We just like boom, boom, get out of here. Also, I think we strip now too, right? We don't even care about the tabernacle. We have the guy's cradle and lethal on board. Yeah, this is real good. One mana, three cards. Sure. Is there a reason to? I guess we just attack both. Yeah. All right, we got there. Obviously, with a million help from the chat here, but I never claimed to be a vintage expert. All right, we're 2-1. Pretty happy so far. I'm sure Justin's loving it, and I made Justin into a reclaimer gamer slash a cradle control player now, right? Like, so far so good. I'll take it 2-1. Also happy to have said here in the house. We also ran pretty hot, right? We had some insane topics there. The biggest one being, this is cradle control, so we hit our namesake card. Um, I'm a little bit concerned about not being able to cast this, but I think it might have just been, you live with it when you draw every once in a while, just like Progenitus, right? We cut our Progenitus, so this is our Progenitus here. Yeah, straight and fraud every time the saga is destroyed. Oh, we're playing against Justin here. Justin Frank. We got a mold. Well, I think we mold this. Like, it's essentially two dead cards here. I think a normal case is you would have to cast it off DRS and would have been forced. Yeah, I think we have to mold this. Yeah, he's super nice. He's actually local to us. What's it called? I met up with him a few times. So we have double Justins here, right? One in chat and one in the game match too. All right. I think we keep this, and then we put the arbor back. I think we once first. All right, we're gonna get the shepherd and slam it. And then I think we do this. Yeah, shepherd is easy mode. I think the obvious question is why aren't we playing 4? It's because they have diminishing returns. Also, we have non-green creatures now. I mean, spells now. All right, there's power 9. So attack first. Just good heuristics, right? Obviously, I could click through by accident. That has happened. That's not gonna happen today here. But that is one reason not to do it the way I just did. And then just collect it with ourselves here for good measure. The F6 value is always worse. Says here Mr. Golgari himself, right? Matt Zole. Uh-oh. That cannot. Looks like it's Doomsday, I would imagine. Oh, Hardcast Citadel. Okay, interesting. Shieldred, alright. We're probably in trouble. They have a Bola Citadel on the other side. So Justin, I thought you said discard is not good in vintage. Why is there opposing discard? Maybe it's a one-on because it's a Doomsday deck, perhaps. I don't know. All right, we can F6. Oh, it's Dark Petition Storm. I think the ideal draw here is as obviously Cradle, but we will see. Will. Oh my god. All right. So they're probably gonna take away our artisan. No, I actually probably a green sun to be honest. Game is over. Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. Would not doubt it. All right. So they probably have vault key, right? Like I'd imagine that's what's going on here. Actually, no, they can't because collector is on the field. Okay. The life gain there is pretty good. I thought we potentially could have stolen this game, but that doesn't look like it's gonna happen now. Eight drills, yeah. There it is. All right. I think we are favored. Maybe post board. I can't imagine we're favored pre board, but I mean perhaps with the force of vigors. Um, I think we want the collector oof, right? Like I would imagine. Wasteland seems good here. Archon obviously. I think we can board out the endurance. It doesn't seem like it does much. No waste. Okay, so no waste. And reclaimer seems slow here. So maybe like this. I feel like this is a we take out Gris here, right? They won't be on Saga. I think we want the probably keep Gris. Interesting. Um, so a funny story about that, Justin. Like, I've had people resolve Shieldred against me in Legacy, and they've lost every match. They've done so. So if any of that translates here, I think we probably don't care about Shieldred, but I could be wrong. Mm, yeah, I can see Caracas need to kill Shieldred somehow. I think. I feel like Caracas might be better as another land, but I feel like we're not gonna have the time to Shieldred. Okay, this seems fine. But need more reclaimer. Cut strip. Interest. Okay, sure. Cut. And then I think the rest is probably okay. Seems fine. I'm gonna fetch first to thin for the Once Upon a Time. So we can increase our chances of either a Shepherd or ding 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 ding. And then we're trying to collector oof them that. Oh, they don't? Okay, so I should have led with Green Sun then, if that's the case. So again, unfamiliar with their list, but I just assumed all of these decks played Also, if they force our green side, like, do we even care? Maybe not. So we could have potentially had. Oh, we can't actually do everything the same turn, so I don't think it actually matters. Could be a. I was gonna say maybe it's a hull breacher there. It wouldn't have mattered because I can only play the Shepherd and then That's 3 mana, so I can't cast the Oof and the Artisan the same turn anyways. Um, like, are we playing around Hope Breacher here? Probably not. Well, we have lethal next turn anyways. So I can see just going like Artisan right now and then just run everything in. It's always the second Explorer, that's for sure. Sure. So now we have lethal. Even if they have, well, even if they remove the Shepherd, I think we have lethal. I could be wrong though. No, no. If they remove the Shepherd, we don't. But we can find another one or another piece of hate. If they don't remove Shepherd, we have lethal. So I think the line here is interesting. This was 6. All right. We kept the Artisan up just in case to like something happens here. Let's see. Graveyard hate. I think this is okay. Do I want the waste now? Feels like Strip Mine's better than Caracas, personally speaking, but I will defer to Justin. If you want a sleep listen, I have Saga. This seems pretty solid. Like, it's like straight up. So the deck kind of, there's some portions that feels like the deck kind of builds itself right because we want blue for walk and recall anyways. So the Leo feels kind of free. The only thing that doesn't really feel free to me is the Archon, but we can cast it off DRS a lot of times. Oh, good point. That's what you're referring to for the Wasteland. I don't think anyone has still played that. It must be nice, Justin, to have so many brews you don't even know which one it is your opponent is playing. Okay. I think we want black, most likely. There's a chance we want blue actually because we have 2 blue cards and only 1 black card. I think. I have to check the math. I think we only have an agent, so that simplifies things, I guess, from a building perspective, right? Like perhaps it's just better to fetch the trop there. So if he tinkers for Citadel, I think we're okay. We don't beat a Sphinx, but maybe we live with that. Dark Ritual, triple Dark Ritual. Looks like a hard cast Citadel, perhaps. Ooh, yikes. All good, Justin. Sure. Maybe it's a doomsday here. I'm really confused now. Will. Okay. That's certainly a thing. Seems good. Oh, they're gonna tendrils us here. We're dead. Yeah. All right, no shame there. I don't think there's really anything we can do. That is part of the price we paid for not having Force of Will. So that can happen. We'll start the next match, and then as we view this, what was your advice, Justin? Like, what would you have done differently? I don't I don't think we're playing around the graveyard because the will is like one card, right? Like, maybe we bring in the wasteland, but we want endurances. Okay, fair. Um, gotcha, Justin. I mean, it happens, right? Like I think the more important part is people are just like kind of figuring out what a deck can do, right? And I think 2 and 2 is so far okay. Obviously, there is definitely some room for improvement. All right, Justin just mentioned a good game. Sorry, got cut. I wish. I don't own any power, unfortunately. Although maybe I found myself a deck for what's it called it? For Eternal Weekend Vintage now. Maybe I'll play this deck. Obviously, I would need to make more headway with the deck, but I don't think the deck is like half bad. EW Europe, yeah. So that's the online version. I'm gonna get some water to refill as we're queuing up here. I think GAC is pretty easy to fit personally. I think there's two ways to do it, right? I think for us, we can play like supply or something like along those lines in GAC. Like that's one way to do it. Of course, it applies to vintage as well. The other thing we can do is, or we can play even what is it called? The grief. But I think the easier way to slotting, excuse me, GAC is with fierce empath, so you can tutor for the one of GAC. But that might just be way too fair for for vintage. That's more of like a legacy idea, I think. Also, we are probably just way on the border of like being weak to graveyard hate all of a sudden. So I don't know if I want to do that either. Anybody have any questions? since we have both myself and Justin here, like obviously the metagame questions, I would just like totally defer to Justin on the vintage metagame. But in terms of like deck building or whatnot, oh, we're playing against Justin again. I don't know. I think this is the first time it's happened in a while where I've like queued into the same person. Um, but I guess I would imagine that's pretty common in vintage. Oops. It's been a minute since it last happened to me in Legacy, but I would imagine yeah, it happens a lot more in vintage. Uh, I think against Justin, is this gonna cut it? Like we have Bog turn one, but otherwise it's not great. We have Walk too, for whatever that's worth, I guess. I feel like we have to keep. There's like not much that's better. No shot. We keep this. Okay, interesting. What are we looking for, Justin? Personally, like, are we looking for Force of Vigor? Let's recall and Shaman. Maybe the recall and hope to get lucky. So we shall see. I think. Oh, actually, we're on the draw. So yeah, I definitely would not keep that. This feels way too slow. Necro, sure. Yeah, that has been a thorn in the side of the legacy version of Elves for a long time. We only recently fixed the combo matchup in Legacy Elves, so it could be a while before we figure that out in Vintage. Uh, Obviously, a big part of that tool is endurance and C's. But if C's is not good enough in Vintage, then I'm not sure what to do. Aside from maybe having to spare the slots on Grief or something like that. So we're probably dead, but that's okay. We can beat artifact based combo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure, that makes sense, Justin. Um, yeah, Mimber Trap sucks. Like, I hate that card in Legacy, so I don't blame you for hating it here in Vintage either. Needs Mindbreak Trap. Yeah, that card is not a card I'm not a fan of personally in Legacy, but uh, and I have data to support why it's kind of bad, in terms of like a metagame percentage. But that's actually, if you want more information on that, here's my socials again. I actually sent that to Justin today, like my thoughts on how to. I have this spreadsheet that essentially I talked about this on the last stream. How to use the equivalent of analytics in or expected value as statistics in Magic the Gathering to create the optimal sideboard, right? There you go, Justin. I don't know what that card does. I'm not playing around it. Actually, I'll go ahead and mod Justin here now that I remembered. I think he should have mod now. Like since Justin has worked on this deck with me. Or more like I worked it with him is probably the better way to say it. Alright, we'll do that first. Nothing relevant, unfortunately. I think we just take a land here, the Beseiju. And then we're gonna have to recall, I think, to try to dig. For maybe Force of Vigor. I don't even know that stops this here. Probably doesn't. I don't even know like what do we options do we have here, right? Maybe we get Force of Vigor and Pray. So if the way they win is usually with if the way that they win is usually with the graveyard, then I feel like Reclaim to the call, right? Um, like if recall doesn't do anything, it's kind of hard. We'll try it. Odds are we're just dead regardless, but have to try. Walk, okay, that's pretty good. I think we're probably just dead regardless. So when you say win with Tinker, what are you talking about there, Justin? Are you talking about just like for Bolus? I'm assuming. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, this might just be an unwinnable match. Looks like they have to do Vault Key though. I mean, it's all good. We're all learning here, Justin. I, to be honest, would not know what to do. All right, so they are going down now. Wait, what just happened? Oh, that's the extra turn. I mean, I would just play the highest percentage, right? I don't know what that is. I would again have to defer to you on that. Oh, okay, demonic tutor. That feels like it should be a win, but I could be wrong. All right, there's Vault Key. All right, so we're dead now. Uh, so we could have tried to dig for the Force of Vigor, but we didn't draw it, so it didn't matter, right? All right, so now how do we sideboard here? I think we saw Saga, so I think that means we want Wasteland, and I think that actually means we want the Vandal too. So Archon and Oof are correct. Yeah, that's sure. So I think we board out the Endurances, and then probably the Bog and the Reclaimer. That feels correct. Yeah, this just might be very hard to win, and I can see one over the Gris seems useless. Like I'll be honest. Like I think this matchup is all about speed. Um, that feels like it's okay to me. Actually, Ooze is too slow, so I think I like Reclaimer over that. And I think actually there. If we're gonna have reclaimer, I think we should have bog. Okay, second endurance. Maybe that's better. Yeah. So maybe just like this. We'll have two endurances, two reclaimer, and then just no bog, right? Like we're just gonna use it as a way to get Cradle or something. Don't think that's keepable. That's probably fine. Question here is what do we put back? Doesn't Archon feel a bit slow in general? If you can't cast it naturally. Mm, putting back the oof, I'm assuming. Question here is, what is our turn two play besides Collector Oof? What is our turn two play here? Oh, maybe it's to force the Collector Oof through. So let's try that. Oof into GSZ for Leo. I think they shouldn't foul. They shouldn't have foul, I think. Well, it's too late for that. Unfortunately, I used my fetch already. I don't know how you can fit it. Well. So we lost a point of damage. I don't think that matters in the grand scheme of things. No, you should. I would GSZ for what? Reclaimer? Or for Shepherd? Yeah, that's fair for mana. Alright, so again, I was listening to another piece of advice there. So probably not what I should have been doing. Why wouldn't we wait for Leo? I guess because the DT can find Leo, right? Like, but okay. So we have crosstalk here on the. I guess we can get Leo now because it stops the draw spells. And then we'll DT for what we need the following turn. All right, so they haven't killed us yet, so that scares me a little bit. What are we trying to play around here? Which day would crack a fetch? Yeah, that would be nice. Let's see what they do. Do we get fog here, I guess? Shepard ends the game next turn, but I'm not sure we get another turn. Okay, so there's that, right? So we no attack, sure. We have lethal next turn, I guess. Anyway, Hull Breacher, I guess. 'Us eating the shaman might have cost us. Sorry, us using the shaman for the mana earlier might have cost us. But we'll see. Four underground seas. Yeah, we use the DRS because I was thinking about the shepherd, but then what's it called? I was thinking about the shepherd and trying to force. I didn't realize they didn't have force, so we could have saved that and played the collective turn two. Bash next turn. DT for what is it called? Archon, right? Now they have one card in hand. What could they possibly have here? Like they can't cast Tinker. Well, I guess they can, right? Well, after the thing floats. Don't tell me they have daily. They have deluge. Sure. We have lethal though, for what it's worth, and they're tapped out now. All right, we have the game. All right, game three. I think I like how we boarded there. Reclaimer, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's fast enough in this kind of matchup. So, but we do just need some number of one drops just to pitch to the artisan. Um, I felt like we boarded okay. If we YOLO ley lines, interesting. Is that better than endurance though? Because at least endurance, they don't have to play around, right? I'm sorry, they have to play around. Whereas ley lines, they kind of have to. They know about it. I feel like it's probably better the way we did it right now. I don't think ley line is great, only because in general they know it's coming, right? This feels like it's okay. Turn one, oof. Yeah, turn one, oof. Turn two, agent, and then some point down the road, recall. Oh, sure, sure. That's fair, Justin. I forgot about that. Yeah, I think what this deck needs is more free spells, but shocker. What that should be, I don't know yet. I mean, I know Justin has tried a grief in the main deck. Maybe that's like a sideboard card we can explore. There is enough black cards to support it now. But of course, it lines up real badly against recall, right? So I think we have to experiment and see. Yes, oof off trop, so we can recall on two. That is possible. Yes, grief also lines up really poorly on the draw, but just how often does Mindbreak Trap actually get there on the play? Because I think our blue count is too low for Force of Will. Not often, so I think we just take our chance. We don't get turn one if that's the case. Yeah, I personally, from legacy perspective, hate Mindbreak Trap. Like the times I play, it's more so to threaten I could have it, more so than I actually want to play the card. So if that's the case, I think we can experiment perhaps with some number of grief because that helps us keep tempo, right? Sure. When you can't play foul, I think we just blow up their mana here, right? Yeah. Okay, we got Lotus at least. Don't think we care about it. Oh, why? Oh, okay, this is kind of nice. I think we Lotus here into Artisan, and then we can end step once upon a time. I should have probably led with the other, to be fair. Don't think I'm playing around Tinker there. I think like we lose probably anyways. If we do. So the question here is, do we do it with the trigger on the stack? And I would guess yes. Looks like Justin is in agreement. This can potentially bridge us to the next turn now. Sure. Interesting play. Yep, that's definitely gross for sure. Shoot. Ugh, I feel naked now with the probe. I wonder if probe is a card we should be playing. Now that I think about it, the life could matter, but I don't know if 100% sure whether we should be playing probe. We do open ourselves up to like hull breacher effects, which we are kind of impervious to at the moment. Sure. So I would guess here we hold the wasteland. Is that accurate? Um, let's see. BB is Dark Petition mana. Yeah, okay. We'll just and we'll pass. Uh, we the problem is we can't fetch like then they get a land for Dark Petition mana. It just undoes what we do right because of the agent. Is the my issue? Well, they hit land. Yeah. Sure, that's fair. That is a nice draw though, for sure. I think we just pass. We helped them thin for whatever that's worth. I don't know if it matters for Reclaimer to be a 3/4, um, yet, but it's hard to. It's really hard. I think. Well, there's the Tinker. Yeah, that's probably GG. Unfortunately, Citadel Tinker. Yeah, pain for sure. Oh, they have Vault Key. Okay, what am I doing? That's yeah. All right. You know, we went 2-3. I don't think it was too bad. Let's take a look at the matchups. We lost to the same, essentially Tinker slash like DPS matchup twice in a row after starting out 2-1. I think the deck feels good. Probably, to be honest, it's kind of like similar to you know I want to say like Nettle Sentinel slash like traditional L's before, where like before we solved the combo matchup, with Nightmare on Elf Street. But I think this list, having played it now 2 nights in a row, uh, already a lot of progress because yesterday I was losing to these Saga decks, or paradoxical PO decks, right? Paradoxical outcome. I think today we lost to the same player twice, so and that deck is not too common, but I do think based on the sample size tonight though, we probably need more combo hate and ideally ones where it's flexible enough we can actually keep in against fair matchups, right? Like right now we're doing the bare minimum for fair matchups and still kind of scraping by. But again, we don't really want to keep in like a collective against like these bug decks, for instance. And it's possible we just have too many graveyard hate. As crazy as that sounds for vintage, but I do think we need something to beat maybe some of these like A plus B or like these storm type decks, right? That ley line doesn't hit and endurance doesn't hit and potentially force of vigor doesn't hit. So mind retrap I don't love. Maybe the answer is like grief, but or I don't know how good C's is, but I trust Justin's word. C's is not good in the vintage. So we'll have to think. The nice thing about grief is it is found off once upon a time, and you can potentially chain griefs with artisan late game, right? Obviously, that's like super late game. That's fair. The other thing is just ignoring, right? Right. If you don't have the tools available in the current card pool, then ignoring it if it's a low percentage is okay too. Yeah, and I think one of the reasons to be in green, to be fair, and this is what Justin mentioned when he, got a few of us, back in, I want to say February or whatever it was, might have been like late January, but the main reason I think to be playing this kind of deck is obviously, I think there's like three reasons, right? Like I think number one is Cradle. I think this is like a vintage power level card that is not restricted, right? I think Force of Vigor is probably number two. Um, like you have these hate bears that are naturally in green that are uncounterable, right? And I think the third reason is now it seems like we have the consistency in the Fiend Artisan now, right? Slash, when I say Force of Vigor, I'm combining that with Collector Youth, right? This is the green package, so to speak. Agent is also very good. Agent is good because it's just off tutoring. You have to get to Agent is the problem. So I don't know if that means C's or if I don't know if that means you know grief, right? I don't know which one is the answer, but I think the end game is pretty clear against some of these storm based decks where we need to get to Agent. Maybe that means we just play higher number of agents and pray they don't have the turn one. I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's the best way or not. Yes, so I do think that's what Justin's saying is accurate with four vigor, four shepherd. Obviously, like Cradle is like our workshop, so to speak, and then we can clean out real fast with the nice thing I told that Justin and I were talking about was the nice thing about all our hate bears, they happen to all be elves. So this activation cost to just like overrun them is like our end game, right? We don't need like a natural overkill. The only the only spell based deck with high percentage is Doomsday. Yeah, so I would have to again. I'll probably discuss this with Justin offline, but maybe we can consider playing some number of discard or well it'd be or I think discard or grief, but I do think these like turn one spell based decks that don't use the artifacts is probably problematic. Again, I would have to think about that more, right? Like, and obviously, I would weigh Justin's opinion higher than mine. So if he thinks one way, I'd probably just lean with whatever he thinks. To be honest, the good thing is the move with Force of Vigor to the main deck has opened up the sideboard a good amount. Like we're saving, four slots essentially, right? And probably even five once we have the once we run the what is it called, the Liberator as well, right? Main deck. So that is some consideration and why we've opened up the sideboard. But I think this it feels pretty good right now, and I do think we have some bad matches. Granted, we hit it twice tonight, but I don't think it's out of the realm of fixing or potentially even just dodging. Right, like depends on
if we think we had the tools available. I don't like playing. I'm kind of on the same board as Justin. Is I don't really like playing cards that like Mind Break Trap if they are not high percentage to win. Right? If I don't mind having to fade a turn if the card is high impact. I don't want to play a card that is turn zero but low impact. Right? Like it's unlikely to get there. So we'll see. Right? Like in Legacy we have C's. Obviously, Ancestral Recall doesn't uh, lines up our seasons line up poorly against Ancestral, but that's only a one card, right? Like maybe we hope to fade, Ancestral Recall, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so I don't doubt it's not just Ancestral that's bad against. Yeah, top deck tutors seas doesn't work against, and there's a lot of that. Obviously, if we can get to agent, that would be great. And maybe the agent count needs to go up, but again, that's a turn two, turn three play. I don't think we're. I think we have to get to that turn first, or just too good. All right. So let's see who is streaming right now. I guess I can raid. I think I'm. I think I can raid Anurag, but here are my socials again. If you enjoyed this stream, you can feel free to sub to this you know Twitch page, YouTube. There's my Patreon where you can actually I'll bring up my sideboard optimizer. I showed this the other day, and we 5-0'd as a result. But this is what I use for elves, and the long story short is you assign a number. We went 2-3, but I think we started 2-1. We hit the same opponent in round 4 and 5, and I think that was tough for us because our deck as currently constructed cannot beat that kind of deck that doesn't use artifacts, right? That is like a combo deck. And then so here's what I was talking about. Like in Legacy, this is what I use. And I posted just this on Patreon earlier this week, and you assign scores to individual cards per matchup, and then you can pick what matchups you want to. Obviously, here Mindbreak Trap like a very low score, right? Like how many decks does it really hit? It's kind of bad against Doomsday. It's like, oops. It's like okay against Ant because they have to discard before they go off, and it's like good against like Rite of Flame, but that's about it, right? Our round one, close this, was against. What was this? Oh, they were on a combo deck. I think they might have been on PO. I could be wrong. Might have been a Tinker deck too. I don't remember. Oh, they were on Urza like Tinkerish deck, like Grixis Tinker. All right. Okay. With that said, I think the deck is good, and obviously in the hands of somebody like Justin, 5-0 with it. Where is it? Here we go. Justin, I am actually level one. Earlier today and 3-1 the prelim. So it's possible we need to flesh out the sideboard, but keep in mind this has only been literally 2 nights of testing. So we are building off of what the legacy shell looks like at the moment, which is the transition to Fiend Artisan and just higher power level cards. Right, you don't need to play like suspect cards like Heritage Writ or like cards that need other cards like Glimpse of Nature anymore. Like all of our cards are just individually strong now. Outside of maybe the Reclaimer, which is like a tutor target, right? Like I'm sorry, the Bog, right, or something like that. But oops, I think there is a lot of room in Vintage, and especially some of these Eternal formats, which are not used for like you know RCQs and things like that. I think there's a lot of brewing to be done in Legacy and Vintage, especially Vintage, which has I think a smaller player base as well. But yeah, without Force of Will, like the odds of untapping are low, right? But we do have 8 free spells, right, between 4 Endurance and 4 Force of Vigor. It obviously there's a hole in there, and unlike Legacy, like you get a turn to Thoughtseize. I think if we do address the combo matchup that is not hit by artifact hate or graveyard hate, um, I think there's one or two ways, right? We either ignore those decks or just hope you get a turn one. And if that means we have to play Seize or Grief or something, or just ignore it totally, then that's probably the best option. I would guess without Force of Will. All right. With that said, I will now go ahead and raid. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you guys had fun watching me play and scramble through Vintage with the help of Justin and the rest of Twitch chat here. And then we will. I guess we'll raid Anurag. He's doing the Magic 30 event. And then thank you everybody for tuning. I know like it was kind of a longer league because the queue times take a while, but we definitely had a lot of fun. And shout out, big props to Justin again for hanging out and I had a lot of fun the first time I worked with Justin on the Glimpse version of this deck, and again already having a lot of fun working this the second time go through with Justin. So thanks everybody for tuning in tonight.